The grand hall of the Galactic Concord shimmered with gold and starlight as ambassadors from 100 species gathered beneath the banners of peace. For 9 centuries, the Treaty of Unity had held an impossible miracle of diplomacy forged in the ashes of the last Great War. And at its center stood General Alara Jennings of Earth, the human who had become both symbol and guardian of peace itself. Her name carried the weight of entire worlds, and her voice could silence armies. Alara had spent her life reminding the galaxy what peace cost, what war took, and what humanity refused to forget. She had fought when the stars burned red, and she had rebuilt when silence fell. Even the most war-hardened admirals bowed their heads when she entered a room. The Galactic Empire knew this, feared this, and envied the influence of a single human. The Empire's representative stood across from her that day, their pale armor gleaming, their expressions unreadable. They had come to renegotiate the terms of border protection, a move that many suspected was a veiled power play. The meeting began with pleasantries, but beneath the polished words lay a dangerous tension. The humans had warned the Council long ago, "We will never start another war, but we will always finish one." As the negotiations dragged on, Alara's patience thinned. "You cannot claim sovereignty over worlds that signed the Concord," she said, her tone like steel wrapped in velvet. "To break that clause is to shatter 900 years of peace." The Empire's Chancellor merely smiled. "Peace," he said coldly, "exists because we permit it." The words hung in the air like a blade before the strike. Every delegate felt the room tilt, every eye turned toward Alara. Her voice, calm but heavy with history, cut through the silence. "You mistake permission for restraint." The chamber trembled as the Empire's soldiers tightened their grips on plasma rifles. The humans in the delegation didn't move. They didn't have to, then it happened. A flash of light, a scream of energy, and the smell of ozone filled the hall. The shot struck Alara in the chest, a perfect beam from an Imperial guard. For a heartbeat, no one moved. For a heartbeat, the galaxy forgot how to breathe. The human general stumbled, her white uniform searing to black as she fell to her knees. Silence. Then the world changed. One of Alara's aides caught her as she fell, whispering, "Hold on, General." Her eyes flickered open. "Tell them," she gasped, blood on her lips, "tell Earth, peace is over." Those were her last words. The Emperor's guards realized too late what they had done. The chamber's lights dimmed as Earth's delegation activated emergency transmission relays. The image of the fallen general streamed across every channel, every frequency, every ship. Billions watched as the galaxy's most respected peacemaker was executed during a peace summit. Within an hour, the first human fleet vanished from sensor networks. The Council tried to reach Earth, but every attempt was met with silence. For 72 hours, there was nothing but static, and then the transmissions began. Massive ships, dark and silent, appeared at the borders of the Empire. No words. No demands. No warnings. The Empire mobilized its navy, confident in its centuries of dominance. But the humans had not been idle during peace. Their fleets were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, silent, shielded, relentless. When the first planet burned, the Council realized too late that the age of restraint had ended. The humans didn't fight for conquest. They fought for memory. They didn't want the Empire's worlds, they wanted its history erased, its arrogance undone. For every city that fell, they left a single beacon: peace is earned in blood. You spilled ours first. Entire armadas surrendered without firing. Empires begged for negotiation, but Earth did not respond. They were methodical, calculating, as if following a plan written centuries ago. Alara Jennings had once said, "The day humanity fights again will be the day the galaxy remembers why it feared us." That prophecy was fulfilled. The Galactic Council met in panic. "If humanity does not stop, they will destroy the balance," one delegate cried. Another whispered, "There was never balance, only fear." Every civilization that had hidden behind the treaty now faced the truth: peace had been built not on trust, but on humanity's promise to hold its wrath. By the end of the first month, the Empire no longer existed. Its core worlds were ash and silence. The humans transmitted one final message across all channels, a single statement signed with Alara's seal: you wanted the end of peace. You have it. But they didn't stay. Once the Empire was gone, humanity withdrew into the void, sealing their borders with automated sentinels and Black Fleet patrols. The stars that once gleamed in human space vanished from galactic charts. The Concord collapsed soon after. Without Earth's influence, the old alliances fractured. Every race that had once mocked humanity now whispered their name with reverence and dread. Statues of Alara Jennings were erected across 100 worlds, each bearing the same inscription: she kept the peace longer than the galaxy deserved. Centuries later, historians would argue about that day. Some called it humanity's vengeance. Others called it justice. But the truth was simpler. When the Galactic Empire shot a woman who had dedicated her life to peace, it did not just kill a human. It killed hope, and from that moment on, the stars themselves seemed to burn with human fury, reminding the galaxy of one eternal law: never mistake humanity's mercy for weakness. The ashes of the Galactic Empire drifted through the void, mingling with the silent remains of once proud worlds. Space stations that had stood for millennia now floated lifeless, their lights extinguished, their beacons silent. Only the faint hum of human warships moved through the blackness, colossal leviathans of steel, bearing the insignia of the Terran vanguard. To the rest of the galaxy, they were ghosts. To humanity, they were justice incarnate. On Earth, the capital city of New Geneva mourned. The death of General Alara Jennings wasn't just the loss of a hero, it was the death of an era. Across every nation, every colony, bells tolled for a full day. Children who had only known peace wept for a woman they had never met, and veterans of the old wars stood once more in silence, understanding exactly what would come next. The Terran Council convened within hours of receiving her final transmission. There were no debates, no hesitation. The vote to end the Treaty of Unity passed unanimously. The council chair stood, his voice trembling with both sorrow and steel: the galaxy has mistaken our compassion for complacency. Let them remember who we are. In orbit, the First Fleet prepared for departure. Admiral Kira Holt, Alara's protégé, stood before her bridge crew as the stars came into view. General Jennings believed in peace, she said, her voice echoing across the command deck. But peace without justice is surrender. We are not here to destroy, we are here to correct history. The fleet jumped into hyperspace, leaving behind the blue glow of Earth like a fading memory. The first world to fall under humanity's wrath was Virax Prime, the Empire's capital. The humans gave no warning, no ultimatums. Their assault began with precision orbital strikes that cut through planetary shields like paper. Within hours, the Imperial Palace was a crater of molten glass. Millions watched the live feed from across the galaxy, and in that moment, everyone knew the age of peace was dead. The humans did not linger to occupy. They never planted flags, never broadcast propaganda. Instead, they left behind holographic monuments of Alara Jennings, her gaze unyielding, her final words engraved beneath: "Tell Earth, peace is over." The message was not for the dead. It was for the living. Across the galaxy, smaller powers scrambled to declare neutrality. The trade hegemony severed all ties with the Empire's remnants. The Zyrene Confederacy offered humanitarian aid to displaced citizens, but humanity's fleets passed them by without acknowledgement. To them, there was no such thing as innocence. Every government that had stood by in silence during the assassination was complicit. In the ruins of the Empire's outer rim colonies, survivors began whispering legends. They spoke of human soldiers descending from the heavens in black armor, silent and efficient, never speaking, never showing faces. Some called them angels of vengeance. Others called them monsters. The truth, as always, was both. Meanwhile, on Mars, a new command center pulsed with energy. The Terran Vanguard operated from there, a war machine built to ensure no one would ever harm humanity again. Generals and strategists studied the galaxy's reaction. They knew this war wasn't about territory. It was about deterrence, about making a statement that would echo for 1,000 years. Back on Earth, civilians built shrines to Alara. Her home was turned into a memorial, filled with the letters she had written to soldiers, diplomats, and even alien leaders. The final entry in her diary was simple: if peace dies, let it die knowing humanity stood for it. Those words spread faster than any fleet. They became the creed of an entire species. As the months passed, the scale of the human retaliation became clear. Whole systems vanished from star maps, not because they were destroyed, but because humanity erased them. They dismantled infrastructure, rerouted star lanes, and scattered navigation buoys into deep space. The message was clear: some stars are no longer yours to see. The Galactic Council, desperate to restore stability, sent envoys to Earth. None returned. The humans didn't respond with violence, they simply ignored the galaxy altogether. Communications were met with silence, as if humanity had retreated into its own empire of ghosts. The rest of the galaxy began to fear not their fleets, but their absence. Decades passed. The ruins of the empire became silent tombs. Yet humanity's legend only grew stronger. New generations of alien leaders taught their children of the day the treaty died, warning them that no civilization, no matter how powerful, should ever provoke the humans. Some even adopted human military doctrines, believing imitation might spare them from annihilation. But inside human space, something deeper was happening. Humanity had turned inward. The wars had scarred them too. The Terran Council launched massive reconstruction programs, not just for their own worlds, but for the balance of the galaxy itself. They rebuilt what they had destroyed, but only under one condition: the rebuilt worlds would serve under human protection. The irony was undeniable. The same species that had shattered the peace now became its strongest enforcer. The humans established the Sentinel Accord, a new treaty signed not in negotiation chambers but on the decks of warships. There would be no councils, no bureaucracy, no pretense of equality, only order, maintained by the threat of humanity's return. In time, even the most defiant species accepted the new reality. Humanity had become something greater than a civilization; they were an inevitability. The galaxy began to call them the Wardens of the Void. It was not meant as praise, but as acknowledgement. And on the anniversary of Alara Jennings' death, a beam of light shone from Earth's orbit into deep space, a memorial reaching across the stars. Every year, the beam pulsed once, marking the moment the treaty ended, and the moment humanity reminded the galaxy what peace truly cost. Some say that if you listen closely on that day, you can hear a faint transmission on the old frequencies, a woman's voice, calm and resolute, whispering through the void, "We tried peace. You chose war." And somewhere beyond the edge of the mapped universe, where human ships still roam unseen, that message repeats endlessly, echoing across the stars, a warning carved into eternity. In the centuries that followed, the galaxy rebuilt itself upon the bones of the past. New powers rose, cautious and quiet, crafting their laws in the shadow of human precedent. The very concept of treaty had changed, no longer a symbol of trust, but a shield against fear. Every diplomat knew that the word peace now carried the echo of humanity's wrath. The archives of the Galactic Concord, what little survived, preserved the footage of Alara Jennings' final moments. It became the most watched recording in history. Scholars dissected every frame, every second of the beam that struck her. Some claimed it was an accident, others a conspiracy ordered by the Emperor himself. But one truth remained: it didn't matter. Humanity's answer was absolute, and the galaxy would never test their patience again. Deep within the ruins of the old empire, silence reigned. Planets once teeming with cities were now forests of steel skeletons. The empire's proud banners lay buried beneath dust and time. And in their place, the humans left markers, simple, unadorned pillars inscribed with a single phrase: never again. Generations of alien archaeologists studied these markers in awe. They found no sign of arrogance in the craftsmanship, only precision, intention, and grief. The humans hadn't built monuments to victory. They had built tombstones for peace itself. Meanwhile, within human space, the vanguard fleets continued their silent patrols. They no longer attacked or threatened. They simply watched. Massive ships drifted along the edges of known space, their presence a quiet reminder that the galaxy's peace endured not through unity, but through vigilance. Children across alien worlds grew up hearing bedtime warnings: behave, or the wardens will come. What had once been myth became cultural truth. Humanity's legend had transcended politics, they had become the moral gravity of the cosmos. Yet among the humans themselves, unrest began to stir. Many questioned whether vengeance had truly restored honor. Philosophers, poets, and historians debated the morality of what had been done. Some believed the galaxy's fear had secured lasting peace. Others feared it had corrupted the very essence of what humanity once stood for. On the centennial of Alara's death, a gathering was held on Luna, the site where the first peace treaty had been signed 900 years before the massacre. Representatives from dozens of species came, cautiously, to pay tribute. It was the first time in 100 years that aliens were allowed to set foot on human soil. A single human admiral addressed them, his voice solemn. "Alara Jennings dreamed of a galaxy that didn't need men like me," he said. "But dreams die when justice is murdered. Remember that before you ever point another weapon at peace." The crowd said nothing. None dared to. From that moment onward, a quiet alliance began to form, not out of friendship, but out of shared history. The galaxy slowly began to knit itself together again, each civilization carrying its scars with humility. But still, no one forgot who had reset the scales. Far beyond the core worlds, deep in uncharted sectors, explorers occasionally caught glimpses of massive constructs drifting between stars. Structures that emitted faint human energy signatures, but no response signals. They became known as the Silent Fortresses, relics of the war humans had fought and the empire they had destroyed. Some said they were automated watchtowers. Others whispered that Alara's consciousness lived within them, guiding humanity's eternal watch. Back on Earth, a new generation of leaders rose. They were not warriors or politicians, but architects, scientists, and thinkers. Their mission was no longer vengeance, but preservation. They founded the Alara Initiative, a coalition dedicated to ensuring that no civilization, human or alien, would ever repeat the mistakes of the past. Still, beyond the veil of peace, the human fleets remained ready. The Vanguard command code was never deleted, the war protocols never dismantled. Every child in the academies learned the same final oath: mercy first, retaliation last. But if war comes, end it completely. In the archives of the Zyrene Confederacy, an alien historian once wrote, "Humanity is not a civilization. They are a cycle. They rise, forgive, and burn the universe when forgiveness is betrayed." His words were banned in some systems, but quoted in every military academy. As time stretched into millennia, the galaxy slowly forgot the details, but not the emotion. The name Alara Jennings became myth, her story retold in countless variations. In some, she was a martyr. In others, a goddess of justice. In all, she was the spark that reminded creation that peace could bleed. On the outer edges of known space, a probe transmitted an unexpected signal. It carried human code, ancient, but unmistakable. The message repeated a single sentence, over and over: peace endures through vigilance. Scientists across the galaxy decrypted it, debated its origin, and wondered what it meant. But among humans, they already knew, it was the last directive of Alara herself. And so, long after empires rose and fell, after stars were born and died, humanity's shadow stretched across the void, an unspoken law written in light and loss. No one dared challenge it. No one dared forget it, for even when their ships no longer roamed the stars, the legend remained: the day the Galactic Empire shot one woman, they awakened a species that could not be conquered, silenced, or forgiven, and somewhere, beneath the eternal silence of space, the ghost of General Alara Jennings still whispered through the cosmos, gentle, sorrowful, and unyielding, "We kept peace for 900 years. The galaxy could not keep it for one day." Would you like me to continue this story into the rebirth era, where humanity begins to re-emerge from isolation and face a new galactic order centuries later? It would make a powerful continuation arc.